So we're getting on toward the end of the selection that we read. We're going to come toward as much of a conclusion as you tend to get out of Socrates, even though this is just Plato using him as a mouthpiece. So we've heard two things that we need to put together now. We know that Thrasymachus wants to say that a smart person, a clever person, wants to have all the power he can all the time over as many people as possible. You do this because it's power. Power seems great. Power helps you get what you want, and you can tell other people what to do. This seems pretty inherently motivating. By contrast, an expert in something only wants power when it's necessary. An expert only wants power when it's over people who he or she can guide to do what they're doing better. And if not, if there's someone else who's more qualified or better at the job at hand, then the expert wants to let that person do the job. Well, you can put together what's going to come out of this. Unlike the experts, Socrates is going to say, only an ignoramus would want superiority all the time. Thrasymachus just said that immoral people want total superiority all the time, so they must not be like experts. They must be more like the ignoramus. So immoral people must be ignorant. If this is the case, then morality must be a kind of knowledge or expertise, and we don't really get a full picture of this here. It's going to come out through the rest of the book. We're not going to read the rest of the book. That would take us most of the semester. But this is something you might wonder, and you might wonder for your discussion post this week. Is it right to call morality something like expertise or knowledge? And if so, what are moral people experts in? Just something to think about as we move toward the end of the week. Well, Thrasymachus still might not be satisfied here. It might not be enough just to show that immoral people are ignorant. He might say, well, sure, so what? I'm ignorant. I get what I want. Can we also show Thrasymachus that being immoral is bad for the person who is immoral? Well, sure, of course we can. Socrates wouldn't bring it up, since this is a dialogue, a stage dialogue, a written dialogue, and not a transcript. Socrates wouldn't even bring this up if he couldn't do it, of course. So, we know that conflict is counterproductive. You need to be able to work together with others to get things done. So if you ran a band of pirates, say, even if you're all immoral, you need to treat each other well, because as soon as you try to cheat your pirate buddy, now he's going to challenge you to a pirate duel or something, bad things will happen, right? You're not going to be able to do much pillaging and plundering if you're too busy fighting amongst yourselves with each other. So you need to be able to work well with others. You need to be able to get along without conflict. Socrates thinks that immoral people won't be able to do this in groups. Furthermore, they won't even be able to do this internally. You'll have this sort of internal conflict that keeps you from performing your tasks, because some part of you will still say, no, I shouldn't be doing this. Other parts will say, yes, we want to do this. We want to, steal, lie, cheat, rob, etc. You're going to be in internal conflict too. This will make you less efficient at doing what you want to do. Socrates is going to say that everything has a function, something that is its purpose. So like the function of a clock would be to tell time, the function of a horse might be to run fast, to carry a rider, to carry heavy things. The function of humans is something we might discuss, of course, but it seems to be something like live a good life, be good. So when something is in a good state, it functions well. This is just sort of by definition. When it's in a bad state, it functions poorly. So a good clock tells time accurately. A bad clock loses time, gains time, doesn't move at all, etc. A good person, then, it seems like, will fulfill the human function, whatever that is, leading the good life well, and a bad person, in a bad state, won't. So if immorality is a bad way of life, and we know it's filled with internal conflict, we just heard this, it puts humans in a bad state. So you'll fulfill your function, whatever it is, worse. So in the end, Socrates thinks he can show Thrasymachus it's worse to be immoral. It just is. No matter what your goals are, you're going to be worse at them, because you're in this bad mental state. As a result, not only will you not be able to get together with other people very well to sort of form your pirate band, but even internally, you're going to be in bad shape, because immorality is just bad for, you might say, your soul, you might say your mind. It just messes you up. We're going to end the part of the dialogue that we read here at this point. Socrates ends by saying, and for that matter, we haven't even defined what morality is yet, have we? And he's going to move on through the rest of the dialogue trying to define what morality is. Then we're going to get into a whole big political picture of how to build the best state. This is a really interesting book. I suggest that you read it at some point. We're not going to read the rest of it for class. So this ends our dealing with Plato and Socrates. We'll move on to Aristotle next week. I hope that you've enjoyed these guys. Plato and Socrates are the subjects of my research, so I spend a little more time on them than most classes do. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'm sure we have a lot to talk about in discussion.